The gym buzzed with energy. Weights clanked, machines whirred, and the steady thud of heavy bag strikes echoed off the walls. The air was thick with sweat, chalk, and overpriced pre-workout drinks. Jake Titan Morrison owned the room. At least, that's how he saw it. 6'3", stacked with muscle, arms the size of tree trunks, and a cocky grin that never left his face. His followers knew him as one of the strongest guys in the city. But today he was about to learn that strength means nothing without skill. "All right, let's roll," Jake muttered, nodding at his cameraman, Ethan. Ethan adjusted his phone, already recording for their live gym session. "Yo, what's up, Titans? We're back at Iron Haven Gym, crushing another heavy day." Jake flexed, flashing a grin at the camera. "You know how it is. No days off, no excuses. And speaking of excuses," he trailed off, his eyes locking onto a lone figure in the corner. A tall but lean older man, maybe 60, quietly working the weight machines. Jake raised an eyebrow. "The hell is this?" Ethan zoomed in. "Bro, is he even lifting? That's like baby weight." Jake smirked. "Man, this dude is straight out of the retirement home." The older man didn't react, didn't even glance up, just kept moving, controlled, focused, unfazed. Jake scoffed. "All right, let's have some fun." He turned back to the camera, his voice louder now, making sure everyone heard him. "Listen up, Titans. We talk a lot about training hard, but you gotta actually lift something if you want to grow." A few nearby gym-goers glanced over. Some chuckled. Others stayed quiet, watching. Jake walked over, towering over the older man. "Hey, Pops, you need a spot? Maybe a walker?" Ethan snorted. A few guys near the bench press grinned. Still, no reaction. Jake leaned in. "Come on, man. What are you even doing? You know these machines go higher than 10 pounds, right?" The older man finally paused. He looked up, slowly, and for the first time, Jake got a good look at him. Lean, weathered, a face lined with experience, but eyes sharp, focused, dangerous. Something about the way he held himself felt wrong. Like he wasn't just some old man at the gym. The older man set the weight down, calm, precise. Then he spoke, his voice even, measured. "Son, lifting heavy is one thing. Knowing how to fight is another." Jake blinked. A slow grin spread across his face. "Oh, so we got a fighter, huh?" He turned to the camera, laughing. "Bro, I think Pops here wants to throw down." The gym stilled. A few lifters stopped what they were doing, watching now. The gym manager, Lisa, sighed and rubbed her temple. "Kid, you really don't want to do this." Jake ignored her. "What do you say, old man? You and me, right now? We'll see what all that knowing how to fight really means." The older man exhaled, shaking his head. "All right, kid, just remember, you asked for this." Jake turned to the camera, laughing. "This is gonna be easy." Jake had no idea what was about to happen next, but he was about to find out the hard way. The gym buzzed with anticipation. People who had been mid-set paused, their eyes shifting toward the unfolding scene. A few trainers stepped back, exchanging quiet glances. They had seen guys like Jake before. They had never seen a guy like this old man before. Jake rolled his shoulders, flexing slightly, making sure the camera caught every angle of his physique. "All right, Pops, let's make it simple. One takedown. First guy on the ground loses." The older man eyed him calmly, his expression unreadable. "Fine," he said, "but I don't think you'll like how this ends." Jake grinned. "Oh, I know exactly how it's gonna end." He turned to Ethan, who was recording everything. "Yo, make sure you get this in 4K. I want my followers to see how fast I drop this guy." Ethan smirked, nodding. "Bro, this is gonna go viral." Jake cracked his neck, bouncing on his feet. "Let's go, Grandpa. Show me what you got." The older man, he didn't bounce, didn't clench his fists, didn't shift his stance like a fighter. He just stood there, relaxed, waiting. The air felt different. Jake charged. His massive frame moved fast. For a bodybuilder, he was quick on his feet, his strength undeniable. He went for the classic double-leg takedown, aiming to use his sheer bulk to overpower the older man. That was his first mistake. Jake expected resistance. He expected a struggle, some kind of pushback. But instead, the old man stepped forward, just half a step. One precise, measured movement. Jake didn't hit resistance. He hit nothing. His momentum betrayed him. He was already off balance, and then everything happened too fast. A sharp grip snatched his wrist, a slight shift of weight, a sudden, effortless twist. Jake's entire world flipped upside down. His massive body was airborne, completely out of his control. And then, boom. Jake's back slammed into the mat so hard it sent a shockwave through his ribs. The gym winced. Ethan stumbled back, his phone shaking. The air rushed out of Jake's lungs. For a moment, he just lay there, blinking up at the gym ceiling, trying to process what the hell just happened. He had been manhandled by a guy who looked like he weighed half of what he did. The older man stepped back, unbothered. "You done?" Jake gritted his teeth, rolling onto his elbows, coughing. Number? He wasn't done. Not yet. His pride wouldn't let him be. He let out a sharp breath and pushed himself up, his muscles tense, his jaw clenched. "I'm just getting started." The older man sighed. "Kid," he said, shaking his head, "you should have stayed down." Jake wiped sweat from his brow. Anger flared in his chest. This wasn't over. Not yet. With a growl, he lunged again, this time going for a full body lock, determined to overpower the old man with brute force. And just like that, he made his second mistake. Because this time, the veteran wasn't just going to take him down, he was going to end it. Jake lunged forward, arms outstretched, determined to use his sheer size to crush the old man into the mat. He wasn't playing around anymore. The smirks, the jokes, the cocky attitude, gone. This was about pride now. But Jake had no idea he was walking straight into a trap. Because the moment he made contact, the veteran moved. Not backward, not away. Forward. A half step, a pivot, a shift in weight. Suddenly, Jake wasn't grabbing him anymore. Jake was falling. The veteran's hands snaked around his wrist and shoulder, his foot hooking behind Jake's knee in one smooth, lightning-fast motion. And then, boom, Jake's body slammed onto the mat again. This time, harder. This time, he felt it. A deep, dull pain spread across his spine, his vision blurring for a second. The gym gasped. A trainer near the squat racks muttered, "Jesus Christ." Ethan's phone shook in his hands. Jake tried to scramble up, arms flailing, but the veteran was already on him. A knee on his chest, a grip on his wrist. Jake's arm was pinned, his entire body immobilized. He couldn't move, couldn't breathe, and for the first time in his life, he was completely helpless. The veteran leaned down, voice calm even. "Size doesn't win fights, son. Skill does." Jake gritted his teeth, struggling, but it was useless. The older man's grip didn't tighten, didn't crush him, but it was absolute. Jake could feel it now. This man wasn't strong in the way bodybuilders were. He was something else, something far more dangerous. And right now, Jake was completely at his mercy. His lungs burned, his body fighting against reality. He had two options: tap out or pass out. His fingers twitched against the mat. His breath came short and ragged. The gym was dead silent. He heard Ethan's shaky breath, the murmurs, the quiet mutters of disbelief. And then, tap, tap. Jake slammed his palm against the mat twice. It was over. The veteran let go immediately. Jake rolled onto his back, chest heaving, staring at the ceiling. He had lost, and not just lost. He had been completely dismantled. Ethan lowered the phone, his face pale. Nobody laughed, nobody mocked him. Because everyone in the gym understood exactly what just happened. Jake had walked in thinking strength was everything. But today, he had just learned the hardest lesson of his life. Jake sat up slowly, his body aching in ways he had never felt before. The veteran was already standing, unbothered, wiping sweat from his brow like he had just finished warming up. Jake swallowed hard. "What the hell was that?" The veteran smirked. "Combat experience." Jake wiped his face, exhaling sharply. You were military, weren't you?" The veteran nodded. "Navy SEAL, 20 years. The gym let out a collective, "Oh, shit." Jake let out a weak laugh, shaking his head. "Man, you should have said something." The veteran shrugged. "Would you have listened?" Jake hesitated, then shook his head. "Nope." A long pause. Then, before his pride could stop him, He extended his hand. "All right, I get it. Respect. Teach me." The veteran studied him for a moment. Then he shook his hand. "First lesson, stop underestimating people." Jake grinned. "Yeah, I got that one already." The gym laughed, the tension finally breaking. A new video hit the internet the next day. Not one of Jake getting humiliated, not one of him losing, but one of him training with the veteran. The caption, "Strength is nothing without skill." The comments were different this time. "Respect. He actually learned something. Muscle isn't enough. Experience wins every time. This needs to be a movie." And just like that, the story wasn't about a bodybuilder getting humbled anymore. It was about a man finally understanding what real strength is. And the veteran, he just went back to his workout, like nothing ever happened.